Destined with You has been a memorable and enjoyable watch since it showed up on our screens. We have been anxious, laughed, and cried with our favorite couple. With the drama's somewhat complex plot of mixing the past and the present, viewers can be easily lost amidst it all. That's why today I'm going to explain how our favorite couple's unseverable fate began. I intend to explain Shin-Yu and HongJo's past lives when they were MuJin and AengCho. Make sure to watch to the end to find out how their fates became interwoven, and JaeGyeong and Jung-Beom's roles in it. But first, be sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on your notification bell to be among the first to see our content. In the past, HongJo was a nameless young girl, who was cast away in the middle of the night to a shrine because of her shamanic abilities. However, she was found and taken in by an older shaman. Due to how shamans were viewed as lowly beings, worse than animals, the young girl decided not to be a shaman. But the older shaman, who had taken her in, informed her of the consequences of rejecting the spirit, which is death from an illness caused by the spirit. She also enlightened her on the goodness of saving lives with her abilities. While deliberating on the shaman's words, she ran into Mu-Jin. Mu-Jin, the town governor's son, is consumed with grief over his mother's death. He hadn't been allowed to see his sick mother until she passed. The young girl helped him find closure by telling him of his mother's last letter hidden in his book. Grateful, Mu-Jin finds the young girl to thank her. Hence, their friendship commenced. He finds her in the mountains, gives her flowers, and spends time with her. He also named her Aeng-Cho, meaning primrose, as he believes she's tiny and ugly like a primrose. Aware of her abilities, he asked her about his future and the part he should take. Despite seeing a gloomy end, Aeng-Cho encouraged him to join the military. Their friendship blossomed into love and romance as they came of age. But then reality started to set in. Mu-Jin's father, the town governor, forbade the relationship and asked him to marry the town scholar's daughter. Not ready to give up on his love for Aeng-Cho, Mu-Jin asks her to run away with him. However, before they could elope, Mu-Jin's father got wind of their plan and used the old shaman to blackmail Aeng-Cho into giving Mu-Jin up. Aeng-Cho broke things off with Mu-Jin, telling him that her love wasn't strong enough to elope with him. This broke Mu-Jin's heart, as he was unaware of his father's antics. Years passed, and as winter turned into spring, summer, fall, and winter, the two ill-fated lovers longed for each other from afar. Their tragic end began when the king's concubine asked for Aeng-Cho in the palace. She asked her to stay in the palace to ensure that she would conceive a son for the king. On her way to gather supplies for the spell, Aeng-Cho runs into Mu-Jin, who is still bitter about her parting words to him. Aeng-Cho came clean by admitting that she had lied and that she had never stopped loving him. They rekindled their romance by spending time together. Mu-Jin teaches Aeng-Cho how to shoot an arrow so that they can summon each other with a ribbon tied to an arrow. After the king's concubine gives birth, she moves on to her next plan of getting the crown prince eliminated. She asks Aeng-Cho to perform a dark spell that would kill the prince. When Aeng-Cho shows hesitance, she threatens Mu-Jin's life. Afraid for Mu-Jin, Aeng-Cho tries to cast the spell, but couldn't go ahead with it. She contacts Mu-Jin and tells him about their dire situation, and Mu-Jin suggests that they run away. But before they could run away, the prince was killed with dark magic. This wasn't Aeng-Cho's doing, the spell was cast by another shaman in the concubine Jung's employ. This shaman is known as Jung-Beom in the present. This explains why he's able to perform all the spells we've seen throughout the drama. He had been a dark magic shaman in his past life. Eager to find who to blame for the prince's death, the king ordered his head royal guard, who is JaeGyeong in the present, to arrest Aeng-Cho. During the interrogation, you can tell that the king decided to be blind to the fact that his concubine could have been the culprit. When Aeng-Cho challenged his deliberate act, he drew a sword to kill her. This was when the curse, which would end up haunting MuJin's generations, was made. To save her life, Aeng-Cho puts a curse on anyone who would make her heart stop. Afraid of her curse, the king orders his head guard to lock her up in a well. Meanwhile, concubine Jung, who is afraid that Aeng-Cho might spill the beans, isn't afraid enough to kill her right away without obtaining the last book of spells written by her. She sends her loyal shaman after the book. Unable to sit and do nothing, Mu-Jin breaks Aeng-Cho out of the well. He takes her back to the shrine to nurse her. Here, he tells her of the concubine's promise to let them escape if she relinquishes her last book of spells. This means that the concubine might have helped Mu-Jin break Aeng-Cho out of the well with an ulterior motive. However, knowing how evil the concubine can be and unable to trust them, Aeng-Cho refuses to give up her book. But Mu-Jin took the book anyway, when she was asleep. It's unclear if he intended to hide the book in a safe place, or if he intended to hand it over to the king's concubine. I believe the former was the case, as he was met by the royal guards that had been stalking them through the night. He could have easily handed the book to JaeGyeong, but he fought to keep the book. It also seemed like the royal guard was in cohort with the shaman and the king's concubine, as the concubine's shaman can be seen riding with them. It also means that they had allowed Mu-Jin to break Aeng-Cho out, so he could lead them to her book of spells. When Aeng-Cho woke up and found the book missing, she started casting a spell to keep her beloved safe. But when she felt his injuries, she decided to run to safety. However, the royal guards caught up to her. Afraid of her curse, the guards were hesitant to kill her, but Mu-Jin volunteered. He decided to kill her to save her from being dismembered by bulls, as JaeGyeong intended. He decided to take her curse upon himself and his generation rather than see her suffer such a fate. Before she died, they promised to love each other happily in their next lives. After her death, Mu-Jin somehow succeeded in keeping her book out of the king's concubine's hands. He buried it in her shrine, and left a note for his future generations to preserve the land, to keep the book safe until Aeng-Cho, who is now HongJo, comes for it. They had a tragic past and were unable to preserve their love. Hopefully, their wish of happily loving one another in their present lives comes to fruition. Let us know your thoughts about the drama in the comments section below. If you liked this content, give it a like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell for all things K-drama. Thanks for watching, bye.